Kia ora, hello. It's a privilege to be here in this wonderful and inspiring fountain of knowledge, and therefore I feel very honoured to be standing here. I'm not a lecturer, and please just bear with me. But what an opportunity to be here to learn and embrace important pearls of wisdom and to take home and share with others. I'm only going to here to tell a story about Kaikōura's journey to our very recent and exciting DarkSky International Sanctuary status and accreditation. An area embracing 2,000 square kilometres or 790 square miles. So we're absolutely delighted and pretty proud to have this protection in place. We do, though, still have the small township area to protect with the DarkSky International Community Accreditation. I should say we're also the smallest council in the, does this go forward? No. Am I facing the wrong way? There we go. So, we have the smallest council in the country. A small town with big aspirations. And I'm lucky enough to live within the sanctuary and in one of the very beautiful parts of New Zealand. Kaikōura's uniqueness is that it has an 8,000 foot or 2,500 metre mountain range rising up from the ocean and a deep sea canyon plunging to a similar depth adjacent to the coast. There's nowhere else in New Zealand with the mountains of this height quite so close to the sea. I'm showing you here the deep sea canyon, and I apologise for quality. Not only does this make it all incredibly beautiful, but the upwelling of nutrients immediately offshore ensure an abundance of marine wildlife from our world-renowned whales and dolphins, albatross and mollymawks, and to our lesser known but Taonga was treasured local hutton shearwaters. Endemic to Kaikōura, these endangered and endearing shearwaters are the only seabird in the world to nest in the harsh subalpine environment. Only 2 wild colonies remain from a former 10. One is on the Department of Conservation land, and the much smaller second colony is situated on my land at Hui Peak Station. And there is now a third man-made colony on the peninsula, established as an insurance policy to spread the risk for our shearwaters. And it's just, the man-made colony is just on the bottom left of the bright green, not quite in sight, and Hui Peak Station is at the end of the valley, in the far distance. Hui Peak Station is my piece of paradise. It's the highest private owned land in New Zealand. A quarter of the area is QE2 covenanted and protected in perpetuity. It's home to a wide variety of rare and endangered species of flora and fauna. Unfortunately, it was extremely adversely affected with the 7.8 magnitude November 2016 earthquake. But over 25 years, this property has inspired me to make a difference, particularly in the conservation arena. Kaitiakitanga and guardianship is an important role. Hui Peaks itself has been described as a taonga or treasured property. For me, this is also a massive responsibility. Oh, where am I going? So this is Hui Peaks just by the homestead. The red circle denotes the habitat for my shearwater colony. You can see it is extraordinarily precipitous, very fragile, and we've done a recent scientific study. We published a paper last year demonstrating that we don't have 8,000 breeding pair as formerly thought. We've only got 3,000 breeding pair, and I think that will actually end up changing their nationally vulnerable status to being nationally endangered. So huttons, it is these small seabirds who have inspired me to better understand their world. A few huttons facts. I'm not doing very well on this. Apologies. This is Pāwhara huttonai, the hutton shearwater, Kaikōura's titi. So a few huttons facts. as I say, nationally vulnerable, possibly about to change to nationally endangered. They live to approximately 35 years, migrate to northwest Australia off Darwin each autumn. The juveniles for their teenage OE not making landfall until they return to breed, aged between 3 and 5 years. They lay 1 egg per year, and the parents share the incubation. Geolocators have demonstrated the birds are having to forage further and further afield through adverse food sources at sea. Climate change is having its impact. During the breeding season, they return to their burrows after dusk and leave early in the morning before dark dawn to fly to the ocean. They have a phenomenal downhill speed of 150 kilometers an hour, taking about 12 minutes to arrive at the ocean. Or perhaps not. Kaikōura's township's artificial light at night causes many to crash land on the streets, especially on misty nights, when the damp road surface emulates the ocean. This flight, until recent times, so often ending in disaster. As we begin to mitigate this alum, it's helping the seabirds and migratory species all over the world, as they are all affected by artificial light. But since the installation of our new street lights in Kaikōura and the shielding of the front face on the ocean side, which I'm sorry I don't have a photo of, but not only have we actually reduced the number of seabirds that would crash landing, but we have reduced our town's electricity bill for our street lights, not the main highway, the Wakakotagi highway, by 30%. So that's pretty exciting for our ratepayers. Without a doubt, has been these shearwaters with their extraordinary flight from the mountains to the sea and their plight that has underpinned the move towards night sky protection for our district. In 2013, I started a campaign to raise awareness of the crash landing issue. A Fly Safe month, when the juveniles are pledging, was launched. But it was not until October 2020 that the DarkSky International Accreditation Initiative took flight. Following the 2016 November 7.8 magnitude earthquake with its widespread destruction, there was an opportunity for replacement of much infrastructure and many facilities, with a lot of funding coming into the town. It also became quickly very apparent to me that responsible lighting was not part of any development or construction conversation, of which there were 10 new large-scale projects on the horizon. So time for action. NECTA, the post-earthquake North Canterbury Transport Infrastructure Recovery Government Agency, had looked at dark sky protection as a legacy project and generously funded us some substantial seed funding, and we were on our way. As we all know, wonderful night sky protection work had already been undertaken across New Zealand, and with Wairarapa in full swing, so international dark sky protection made a lot of sense. With early help, and here particular acknowledgement to Dame Margaret Austin, Professor John Hernshaw, and Steve Butler, the seed of our working group was formed in October 2020 and formalised in February 2021. From then on, it has been a slow but steady journey, not always easy, but a strong working group, generous and committed, with a wide cross-section of skill sets, an enthusiastic mayor and council, a CEO on our working group, his team totally supporting the project, and an enthusiastic community have all helped make this journey happen for our very small community. It is worth noting Kaikōura does not have an existing observatory or stargazing tourism operator, just one private observatory, and this possibly made the early part of the journey somewhat harder. Kaikōura was therefore approaching this night sky protection initially, principally from an environmental perspective. For me, the early vision was well-being and welfare for our whole community, raising awareness through 4 principal pillars of environmental protection, protecting the natural darkness of the night sky for ecological and environmental reasons, health of our people, particularly understanding blue light, social, cultural importance of the stars and universe, awe and wonder, be reminded to take time to look up, to value the darkness. Economic, with tourism opportunities, and also power saving, and importantly the electricity, saving money and energy. The work stream essentially fell into two halves. The formal part, in its simplest form, formation of a charitable trust, completing the DarkSky International application, initiating a private plan change for our district already, collating the lighting ordinances and the lighting management plan, and talking a lot to Nailani and Gareth Davis at NZ DarkSky Network. Their knowledge is quite extraordinary and an essential component. Significantly, we procured funding for a project coordinator to carry the above workload, which has been absolutely key. I could expand, there is a lot here, but do please ask me questions afterwards and during the conference. My role essentially has been to bring the wider community along with us. It takes a village to raise a child, and it's been a community understanding and endorsing our DarkSky journey that is essentially, in my view, and is the view of the DarkSky International community, community buy-in. We run regular outreach events, monthly stargazing evenings, speaker talks from time to time, and I've ensured all our working group meetings are open to all the public. We then, however, for me personally, a huge turning point was running a 10-day DarkSky Expo in May 23. And this was a key, oh, I'm sorry, that was the flight path of the, sorry, I'll go back one. That was the flight path of the birds, just out of your interest, that's the Shearwater Stream flight path. But we now consider it probably out of date and not accurate. But as you can see, it's right across the township. Now, I apologise for the quality of this slide, but I wanted to leave it up here because I wanted to show the sponsors who endorsed the expo that I ran, the essence of the expo, which was we're not going to be in the dark, and I'll just speak to it now. Essentially, we had 14 scientific-sized posters adorning the walls and covering a wide range of topics. Daily school groups with 100% of the primary school children visiting across 5 days. The preschoolers also had a day, and some of the high school students and youth group on another occasion. Each evening, a different sector of the community was invited to talk to, this is an example of the slide. Each evening, a different sector of the community was invited to talk to a talk or presentation. The highlight, without a doubt, was Kaikōura Health Centre engaging Professor Philippa Gander to come and talk about human health and blue light and impacts on the environment. Over the 10 days, over 900 people attended, which out of a small township with a population of 2,000 people was wonderful. I think if you're undertaking a journey like this, I think just keep it simple. As always, keep it simple, keep the messaging simple. We're not going to be in the dark. You don't have to do anything, but if you wish to change your light bulbs, look at your outside lighting, then it could be advantageous for you to do so, particularly as it could help you save money, power, etc. A roadblock definitely for some of our questions was how do we source the right lights in the supermarket Bunnings, Mitre 10, and I think that's an area that needs addressing. Again, the key messaging, I'm really trying to keep simple. Half our life is night. People so often think of conservation in daytime terms. Nighttime conservation is equally, if not more important in New Zealand, with its extremely high percentage of nighttime pollinators, over 2,000 moths alone, so all incredibly important. Saving power saves energy, saves money. And remember to take time and look up in awe and wonder. We so often forget to take that time. A stand-up for us all was the very small percentage of outside light worldwide that is useful, and the quite extraordinary amount that is wasted. this is a climate change conversation as well. And DarkSky International has details on this on their website. I was lucky enough to study in Antarctica with Canterbury University in 2013, and climate change was my biggest take-home message. Consilience was one of my topics. Consilience was one of my topics in Antarctica. The coming together of knowledge, the bringing together on a topic, especially between science and the humanities. It takes a team, and we have an exceptional team in the room here today. So please, continue lobbying our agencies, lobbying our ministers, and moving forward in the direction John has so recently talked about. For me, and also think laterally, for me, Hallmark in the tourism, owned by Tourism New Zealand, why in their environmental component is the not responsible lighting included? Already brought up several times, the conservation estate, how easy, there isn't any light there anyway. So, onwards towards New Zealand as a dark sky nation, alongside the great work being undertaken worldwide. I would, however, like to leave you with this thought, which I've had in my orbit for a long time, and this is taken at Fui Peaks. It's actually sunrise, interestingly. And originally for me, obviously, in the environmental section, but it's for each of us and every one of us to make that difference. It's that collective that brings us together. So I invite you all to continue with the passion that this whole conference is bringing together, and good luck. Thank you.